All right, good morning, traders. We're back for another episode of Funded Fridays on Trader Roundup. We're highly tuned, like minded traders are working together to become 1% better each and every day. We have another special guest today. We've got a CEO of one of the top up and coming prop firms, our good friend, Trader Tristan. What's going on, brother?
Hey man, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. And I got my co host, Rodrigo, here as well. What's
Hey
going on, Rod?
everyone, what's going on, Tristan? What's up, Kyle? How
How
you
you
doing?
doing?
I'm good, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, Tristan runs the funded engineer, right? There's no the in front of it.
Yeah.
Uh, I think you got. I mean, your firm was probably, in my opinion, like the first firm uh, that's been formed from an actual trader. I know Paladin and Omar started SFT, but you launched before them. Maybe kind of tell the audience what your story was. I know a little bit about your background, but for the people that out there that don't know what your story is, maybe fill them in.
Yeah, so I mean, I started trading roughly 6 years ago. It took me, I went full time about 13, 14 months ago now. And I was just trading with personal capital for the first few years, using my savings and building it like that. And then I found FTMO like 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, something like that. And I started trading with FTMO, and it was a huge game changer. I mean, not having to risk your own money and like to make good money in the markets. Let's be real, you do need a good amount of capital unless you're trading with ridiculous risk, and which is what I was doing, and I don't recommend it. And yeah, I just started trading with them, and it made a huge game changer. And then I thought I saw the opportunity of making my own prop firm in the future, and then that all came to fruition. About we're on month 4 right now, but it's been in the works for like 7 months. It takes a couple months to get rolling, and then yeah, we launched a funded engineer, and it's been awesome. We're growing quite fast, and everything's going well.
Yeah, awesome. And I know your background was in construction. I kind of want to ask you, like, what type of construction was it? Like, what was your schedule like, and how difficult was it to trade? Because I know you were in the field, right? A lot of
Yeah.
the guys that I knew in the field started at like 7 a.m. So, you know, they didn't have a whole lot of time to trade, especially when you're on the job site. Like, how are you pulling out your phone, when you're doing
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, no. So it was brutal, man. I was doing sawmill construction. So by trade, I'm a welder and fabricator. So I'm a dual ticketed, and I've been working construction prior for 7 years. So I'm 27 now. I'm getting a little older, but I started when I was 18. Right out of school, I got a job. I was making great money at the time. Like I actually quite liked it for the first few years, but once I found trading when I was 21, so I found it a little bit late, and that's when I realized that construction's not for me. Like I don't want to be doing this. So the shifts we were doing were brutal as well. So we would work 21 days on, 7 off. So you work for 21 days straight, and then you get 7 days off, and you can go do whatever you want. But it was 10 to 12, sometimes 14-hour days every single day. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Canada, if you've ever been, but I'm originally from Canada, so I worked in Canada for the first 4 years, and the winters are extremely cold. Like we were regularly working in like negative 30 degrees Celsius, like freezing cold. So, and then we got switched over, and I worked in America for 3 years, and we were working in Florida and Georgia. So it was extreme cold to extreme heat. And yeah, it was really shitty. And I was waking up for the last year of my job every morning at 2 in the morning to trade London session. And then we were working from 5 to 5 at work. So it was brutal, man. And but it's had to be done in order to eventually be able to quit my job.
Yeah, and, like, to be honest, I can't say the same because I wasn't in the field, like, I wasn't doing, like, manual labor, and I kinda had that desk
Yeah,
job. Like, do you think, that kinda pushed you to try and become a trader even more so? Like, because I know there's a lot of guys that I mean, yeah, the trades pay extremely well, but it is taxing on your body, so the
yeah,
same career span, like, most people can't work until they're, like, 65, do you know what I mean? Like, they're either
yeah.
gonna get injured on the job site, right? Like, or they're just their body's just gonna kinda shut down on them. Was that, like, a big reason for you to just say, like, "This is not really for me," even though the money was good?
Yeah, it was kind of a mix of the money. It was good, but it's not quite good enough. I have way bigger goals than like I was making a good six figures, but I wanted always more than that since I was like 18. I just wanted more, and then also it is extremely taxing on the body for sure. It's long hours. You're away from your families. You're working all the time. You're getting shipped all over the world, and it was just really shitty. And another thing is like I'm a big believer of you are who you surround yourself with. When I would be at work and all around the type of people that are doing that work, it's just not like where I want to be when I'm that age. It's just I couldn't
Yeah.
really relate to anyone, so I knew something had to be done. I had to make a change. So yeah, I
Yeah, and I
definitely
think, like, I put on a pedestal, like, that six-figure salary, but you kinda
yeah
realize, like, once you hit that, with the cost of living, it's just so hard to even just really get ahead. Like, if you really
yeah
wanna feel comfortable, and not live paycheck to paycheck, you really do have to, in my opinion, you do have to earn a bit more than just the base 100K, right?
yeah. I agree 100%. Like 100K a year nowadays, it's really not much. It's with inflation, it's crazy how it's like it disappears like nothing. It's just
Yeah.
definitely not worth
So,
it.
I mean, did you notice, like, a shift in your trading when you found FT? Because for me, that was a game changer. Like, if I didn't stumble upon some of these prop firms, me trying to turn that personal capital into, like, a full-time thing where I could replace my salary was, like, it's extremely hard because not
Yeah,
only is it, hard to just grow your account, but you're also being fed this narrative that you have to put more and more towards your retirement. You're locking up your money
yeah.
essentially, so you're paying yourself less week to week and putting away this money that you can't touch for 40 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a game changer for sure because I was trading just like 5K accounts, 10K accounts, and I eventually did grow it to a decent amount. But being able to, at the time when I got funded with FTMO, I believe their max capital was 300K. I don't think they had the 400 yet. And it was back before they had the 80-20 split. It was only 70-30, which was still
Mhm.
great because just the fact that you can have a couple $100,000, even though it's not actually a couple $100,000, it's still the leverage to be able to trade it like it is a couple $100,000. So it was a complete game changer, especially because like I've personally blown funded accounts. I'm pretty sure any trader can relate. So when you lose a funded account, I mean, it sucks, but it's not the end of the world. You didn't just lose $100,000 of your own money, or even 10,000. It's like the cost of a challenge is like $600 for 100K. So
Mhm.
it was the psychological aspect was huge. Not having to worry, it was a complete game changer. And then I was able to be more aggressive with my own personal funds that I was making from the prop firms. So yeah, it was a big game changer.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it's super interesting because I think there's more and more people coming into the space now that are just going straight into prop without really
Yeah.
having the foundations to trade them. Do you think it's like
Mhm.
a detriment to their success, or do you think it's going to help them? Like, kind of it. I mean, it kind of it forces you to actually have rules or learn from them very quickly, right? Because you
Yeah.
can't just come in here, risk 5% and expect to pass a challenge, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the rules are good because, like you said, it forces you to have somewhat of a risk management plan. I mean, you're not gonna be able to keep your funded account without sound risk management. It's like you will blow it. Even like most people with good risk management, eventually they do tend to lose it. So I do think prop firms as a whole are extremely helpful to traders because it gives you kind of a structure that you have to follow, a little bit of a guideline. Like when I first started trading and I was trading personal capital, I had no risk management. My goal was to flip my account as high as you can. And sure, sometimes it works, but for the most part, it doesn't. And to do that, like long term, it's not something that's realistic. It's not going to
Yeah.
work out. So, yeah,
Unless you have,
without
like,
proper,
extreme patience, right, and understanding, like, "Yeah,
yeah,
I'm just growing my money, and I'm still gonna work a job." But I think most people
yeah,
get into trading so they can leave their job, not to just
yeah,
add another source of income. Because I think a lot of people are just unhappy with it. I was unhappy in my job, even though it
yeah,
was very cush, it's just the hours. Every time I wanted more money, it just felt like I was getting a whole 'nother job, you know? So,
yeah,
like, I was wearing multiple hats. I was, like, managing their website now, and on top of, like, estimating, on top of all this other admin work. So every time I got a small minuscule pay raise, it was like I took on a whole nother full-time job essentially, and
yeah,
the expectations just keep stacking up. Um, So,
Yeah.
so
Another thing about the
you were a full-time profitable trader before you found your partner. Is that correct?
yeah. So I found like my partner with front end engineer.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, so I found him about 7 months ago. It's interesting how we met actually because I'm sure you know Kimmel Trading. I
Hmm.
did a podcast with Kimmel Trading, and I think it was, I don't know, maybe 9 months ago, something like that. It was last year, and he actually, it's funny because this is the first podcast he watched. He's not involved in trading. He's in the casino business, and yeah, he watched the podcast and then he reached out to me, and I actually started mentoring him for trading for 3 months. And then I just approached him and said, "Hey, let's start a prop firm." And yeah, the rest was history.
Nice. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
the prop model is similar to the casino model, I think.
it's
Uh,
very, very similar. Yes.
but there's like a
Yeah.
poker aspect to it too, where I mean, the best players are going to be at the tables all the time, right? Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, they're sharks, right? Like people that have the skill set, it's providing them a huge opportunity to make money when
Yeah.
they didn't have the capital, right? And that was like a big thing for me. Is like I had a skill set that is really hard to pitch to like a brick and mortar prop firm because a lot of those
Mhm.
firms only have a certain amount of seats, and sometimes they're either requiring you to take their education, which might be, have a really high price tag, or you gotta be from like an Ivy League school. You have to be a genius in mathematics, which I'm not. I'm Asian,
Yeah.
but the stereotype is not true. Like I'm pretty bad at math. Like it just
Yeah.
never, I never really found any interest in it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of what was that story? You know, what was I guess the idea of just opening up your own prop firm? And like where do you see the prop space going kind of?
Yeah, so at the time when we launched, I know right now it's kind of an industry standard with the time limits being removed. But at the time of our launching, firms like FTMO and MyForex funds and True Forex funds still had time limits. And that was one of the biggest things for me with FTMO. Like, they're shout out to them; they're an amazing firm. I have nothing bad to say. But the thing with the time limit was it just didn't make any sense. Like, why do you have to hit a certain amount of profit within a time frame? Like, it's like entrapment on a trader. It didn't sit right. So I knew that with launching Funded Engineer, that I knew it would do very well with the no time limits. And then there's a couple other things we wanted to introduce too, and kind of make it a little more personal towards the trader. And just had lots of ideas like that. So I knew launching Funded Engineer would work really well. So that was the whole idea behind that.
Nice. Yeah, and like I really appreciate you coming on the podcast and like I know you've always been transparent on Twitter about like what you guys are offering and stuff. And in my
Yeah.
opinion, like FTMO, they're advertising they're advertising in a way that says like, yeah, you're getting 30, you're not actually getting 30 days, right? It's like 20 trading days
Yeah.
and probably even less because most people, in my opinion, should not be trading on like Mondays and Fridays. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's certain
Yeah.
days where you just completely avoid. So even having that time limit shrink even more, it definitely feels like entrapment. I mean,
Yeah.
have you
And it's
noticed, like, do you think there's any real difference though in the statistics between people passing and failing based on time limit, no time limit?
right. So I can't speak on other firms because I don't actually know what their pass rates are. But what I can tell you from ours is an insane amount of people still blow their account like within a week. Like, it's almost right away. It's like they have a 7 day limit. Some of them is how they treat it. So I do think the no time limits definitely helps for most people, or at least some. Like, it's definitely benefiting some people, but there is definitely still a large amount of people who it's like it doesn't even matter. It's like people buy these accounts and with the intention to pass them as fast as they can. And I don't think it's the proper approach. So yeah, it's kind of a mix of both. It definitely helps some people, but for the most, probably not so much.
Hmm. Yeah, so we just had another good friend of ours just join the room. I'm gonna bring him in. Kit, what's going on, brother? Well, his mic not be on. It might not be on right now, but
Okay. I'm here. My bad. I'm old and I'm not very technically savvy, so I apologize. Trader T,
so
what's up, bro?
How you doing, man? Nice to. I don't think we've actually ever spoken before. Just on
No.
Twitter a couple times.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you, man. Nice to see
Yeah.
my boy Jade and Rod, my boys, the men.
Ryan.
So ICT's still talking, just so you guys know. I know we have
Okay.
our regular scheduled show, but that's
Yeah.
probably a little bit of what's going on.
So
But
like
anyway,
Tristan, I know that there's really a lot of firms popping up, right? And I think
Crazy amount.
the there is a crazy amount. So like,
Yeah.
I guess I kind of want to pivot and talk to you a little bit about like where do you kind of see the space going? Or do you think a lot of these firms can operate because the overhead's a bit low, right? Do you
Mhm.
think it's possible for everybody to stay alive, or do you think some firms actually have to separate themselves? Kind of like what you were doing, like you're probably the first firm that I've seen send somebody like you guys sent the mouse pad and like a bottle of
Yeah.
Moet or something. Like that's really cool. And
Yeah.
it kind of makes the actual like skilled traders feel like they're operating in a real firm, like getting
Yeah.
those types of rewards and perks.
Yeah, 100%. That was the goal. We wanted to have more like a personal connection. When I was working my job prior, like there's just no gratitude for the work you do. You do your work all day and they just, off you go, repeat it the next day. So we wanted to have more of like a personal connection. In regards to the first question about all the prop firms and if I think they can all operate, no, I don't. I think that there is way too many firms popping up right now. The only reason why I knew I could launch mine is just because I have a bit of a social media presence. So I knew we could kind of kickstart it with that growth. But for all these new firms that are popping up that don't really have any social media presence and they can't really leverage that, I think it's going to be extremely difficult for them to kickstart the prop firm. And I think what's going to happen is that's going to make them do things like lowering their profit targets or putting too cheap prices and making it too easy for traders to pass, which in turn is going to make people that shouldn't necessarily be getting funded and then getting payouts, which I don't think they're going to have the capital or revenue to be able to pay them out. So I do see a big problem coming. I think funded engineer for sure will be fine. Firms like SFT as well will be fine, people like that. But for a lot of these newer ones that I don't even know who the owners are, I think there's going to be some very dark times coming. And as a whole, if more and more traders start getting scammed, things like that, it's going to speed up regulation coming into the market. But in my opinion, regulation coming into the market is not necessarily going to be a bad thing, and it actually might be a good thing for the firms that are able to stick around and do things properly. So
Yeah, and I know you guys like have a concierge service, right? I think you have the increasing max drawdown. Like
yeah,
those are things that really are separating your firm from some of these other firms. Like
yeah.
I'm sure you probably don't want to talk about it too much, but how far do you think you could push the envelope? Like what other kind of perks do you think you could provide to funded traders?
Yeah, so the max or the increasing drawdown and the stuff like that is definitely something that we're happy to do just because if someone's getting to that point in their trading that they've reached multiple payouts, we have no problem with giving them a little bit more room. Because like I personally had a FTMO account for 11 months and I blew that account after 11 months and they didn't even offer me a discount. No, nothing, no like
Yeah, yeah.
11 months. I was like, that's insane. Like I think you should at least get like a free retry or something like that. So things like the max drawdown and um we're happy to do stuff like that. For in regards to what more we can do, we just launched the drawdown blocker, which definitely we can already see it's helping a lot of people. But for like things like rules, like you can't really do too much in regards to making it the profit targets lower, just because it puts so much more risk exposure to the firm. So in regards to the challenges and stuff like that, I don't think there's going to be too much more changes in the industry that can be done.
Yeah. So, I think me, Rodrigo, and Kit, we're like all ICT traders, and I
Yeah.
think that our community is probably the most outspoken. That's like, yeah, we're actually, we're profitable, and it's a winning strategy if you have your mental edge. Um, I don't think you guys haven't done any interviews, right? Or do you guys talk with a lot of your funded traders at all?
Yeah, so we've done 2. We did one with, Creedy Trades, and
Okay, yeah,
then,
no,
yeah, that was a great one, and then we just did another one with No Men, if you're familiar with him.
yeah, yeah.
He's,
oh yeah.
he's crushing it all over Twitter right now, so that was just released today. So just 2 interviews right now. Obviously, we're gonna pump as many as we can in the future, but we're just waiting to find the right people to do them with.
Yeah. So I mean, do you
Yeah.
guys have any other IC? Do you have any ICT traders trading under front of an engineer? I'm sure you probably have
Yeah,
some.
we do for sure, but not a crazy amount. I think I mean I don't actually know what everyone's specific strategy is. I think a lot of people kind of use a mix of ICT and other things, but for like the hard die hard ICT guys, we don't have too many of them right now. Or there's a
Mhm.
couple though for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if I have too many other questions. Rod, you got anything for Tristan?
Yeah, for me, as you guys know, I'm all into the mental edge. For me, I was just very curious about that come up in your trading career. You mentioned you were working crazy hours at your previous job, and then you're waking up at crazy hours to trade London.
Yeah.
How did you overcome the mental challenges? I mean, what mental challenges did you have? I mean, obviously, sleep deprivation was one of them. Like, how
Yeah.
did you overcome that in order to then switch from what you were doing previously in construction to then being full time? How did you overcome those mental blocks?
Yeah, so it definitely took a long time, and like you said, with the sleep deprivation, it was very draining to work the hours that I had to work. But with me starting at 5 6 in the morning, it was kind of impossible to trade New York session like properly. I did a lot of trading off my phone, which it sucked, but there was no other way of doing it. And at for about year 4 or 5, I became a supervisor, so I was actually able to pull out my phone quite a bit more. I could, we're doing lots of blueprint stuff. I could go to the print shack and pull out my phone, and I could be on my phone quite a bit. But it still was very, very physically demanding and running around and managing stuff. So it was very, very tough to trade with the job. But I eventually overcame it, and just, it just took a long time. Definitely some of the things that I struggled with were over trading because I really wanted to leave my job. I was almost always trying to be in the markets. Like
Mm.
I look back at my journal, and there was a time when I looked at all my days that I had traded in the year, and there was not a single one where I didn't place a trade. So it was like I had to be in a trade every day. So when I overcame that, that was a big game changer for sure.
Wow, so like the
No.
less is more concept.
Yeah, less is definitely more. And like now, I mean, I could sit a week without trading, no problem. It doesn't matter. It's really a quality over quantity.
I find that really interesting because, like, construction, people don't really know the construction industry is just so brutal. And like
Yeah,
a lot of my older, coworkers that were my senior, so many of them were just unhappy. They were just complaining about stuff
yeah,
all the time. And I think being around in that type of environment where, you know, people in construction don't have a filter. First of all, they're just cursing at you left and right. It's just like
yeah.
it's a
Oh
high
yeah.
stress and it's a high stress. Well, Kit knows. Kit was actually in construction. If you didn't know,
Ooh,
he actually
yeah.
did like project management as well. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we all know like what that schedule's like, and it honestly never ends. Like I had my phone with me, and I was getting emails, super late at night. So was your job like that? Like, did you have time to disconnect after you left your shift?
After I left work, absolutely. It was a full disconnection. I don't care what happens at work. And I really didn't care because I did not want to be at that job anyways.
Yeah,
But like at work, it was very, very hard to disconnect, especially prior to me being a supervisor. I mean, I remember going to the bathroom, like sneaking away to the bathroom, like sometimes 15, 20 times a day, just so I could check my phone and look for
Oh yeah,
trades and, just
I
doing
know it's like
basically
that. Yeah.
whatever I had to do to make it work. But yeah, it's a really toxic environment. The people that work construction are, it's not the type of like I'm not saying everyone. There's definitely some really smart, intelligent people, but for the most part, it's not really the type of people that I wanted to be around. So I kind of used it as like a motivation to like every day when I would go to work, it would be like, man, I got to get out of here. Like got to do something. So I think it like was like a fire inside my belly to help me work harder.
No, I
Yeah.
think yeah, for me it was the same thing. Like
Yeah,
it definitely lit a fire under me just realizing like how much of the time in my day I actually had. Because
yeah,
even when you're working a 12, 14-hour day, even if you have that downtime, it's still really not enough. So like I know you had mentioned you had 7 days off. To some people, like they're like, oh, that's great. But did you actually feel burnout. Like me and Rod talk about this all the time. Like burnout in trading is such a real thing. When you're
Mhm.
first of all, you're trading London, then you're trading at work, and then
Yeah.
you're working a crazy long day. So like even if you do have time, like were you able to reset? Even that 7-day period, in my opinion, is really not enough to like fully reset because you're
Yeah.
honestly dreading going back to work.
Yeah, I mean, it was really tough for sure. Though I can't even count. Like, there's hundreds of nights where I didn't get any sleep just from like it was a very very brutal time. But I definitely think it is possible for someone if they're in this situation too. It can be done, but I would say don't try to rush quitting your job. Like that was one of the things is I wanted to quit so bad, but it takes a lot longer than people think to be able to trade properly full time and actually quit.
Mhm.
And another thing I want to mention too is like if you're coming from a job making a comfy like guaranteed six figures, like the money's coming in no matter what, and all of a sudden you take that away to trade full time, the mental aspect is huge. Like it plays a very big psychological toll on you. So I think people really need to be realistic about the expectations that they set for themselves, and if they actually do want to be a full time trader one day.
100%. Yeah. And
Yeah.
because you were trading from your phone, I'm assuming that your strategy is quite simple. So were you trading a swing strategy, or I mean, how would you describe your strategy then to where it is now? Is it the same?
Yeah, so I actually wasn't swinging. I was more of a scalper, like, and I've always kind of been like an intraday. No, I wouldn't say like too quick of trades, but I'm usually in and out
Hmm.
in the same day. It's very rare that I do hold trades back then, and now I do a bit of like a higher time frame approach. I'm more on like the hourly 15, and of course I pay attention to like the weekly and the monthly and stuff like that. But my trading, I would say, is definitely changed in the last little bit. I look for stuff on the higher time frame. I'm less involved in the markets rather than with my job. It was, just hunting for trades on the 5 minute, on the 1 minute, like
Hmm.
trading the New York Open on my phone every time, every day. Like it was just basically just trying to get in, trying to make some money, trying to get more prop firm capital, trying to get more payouts, stuff like that.
Hmm.
I actually noticed, you know, you mentioned trading on a phone. Like whenever I try to trade, like because I had gone through a couple different jobs. Whenever I switched jobs and I didn't have access to like an actual desktop where I could like download the MT4 platform,
Yeah.
my trading suffered because even though I did have my levels pulled up, and plotted out before I went to work, I think in a live market, there's just not enough data that you can get on your phone to be able to, in my opinion, to be able to actually make a reasonable decision. But not only that, it's so accessible. Like right
Yeah.
now, I really just try and trade at my desktop. I don't try and trade on my phone anymore because let's say if I do take a trade at my desktop and now I just bring my phone with me everywhere I go, now I can just pull up the charts wherever I'm at and take a trade. Like, do you think it's more important that people, treat this like a desktop and like make sure they're only trading during a specific time of day and because they make it like a casino now. It's so accessible. You can just go on
Yeah.
your phone. Everybody's on their phone all day long anyway. So now it's like
Yeah.
they can't disconnect at all, you know?
Yeah. No, I definitely think like the proper way to do it is from a computer, whether it be a laptop or a desktop, either or for sure. I mean, the only reason I was on my phone trading like that is because I didn't really have a choice. It was either that or nothing. So I'm a big fan of the Trading View mobile app. So I would do all my analysis and charting on my computer in the morning and
Hmm.
then plot my levels, plot my alerts, stuff like that. So I would always have a very good idea of what I was looking for coming into my day at work. So, and then I could just pull up my phone on the TradingView app, and I already know what I'm looking for. Like, yeah, I know today I'm going to be buying Euro USD or I'm going to be selling the Dow, something like that. So I would have a very detailed plan of what I was looking for, and then I would go engage on my phone. But for people that don't really do that and just phone trade, I don't think that's a very good approach. I mean, if you can do it, awesome if it works for you. But I definitely think having a proper laptop or desktop is way better and definitely the way to go.
It honestly never worked for me.
Yeah,
I don't know. For some reason, it was just like a mental thing where if I got stopped out, I'm just gonna re-enter the trade. Like when I'm at a
yeah,
desktop, I don't know. For some reason, I just have a different mental. capacity at my desktop where if I take a loss, I don't know. To me, it just feels more professional, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
It's
I got a
definitely
question. I got a question.
okay.
You've kind of build a social media following as like a traveling trader. I mean, I at least noticed you traveling quite a bit and being a world traveler. I myself have been a world traveler, living a bunch in Central and South America. Um, what was that like? I think that's very aspirational to a lot of folks. And I'd love to hear your journey through Thailand and where and how that affected you as a trader and your experience in life and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. So, I really have always liked traveling. I've traveled around a lot when I was younger, and I kind of got shipped around all over for my job. And I know, like on the 21 days off, 7 off, I was a lot of the time those 7 days off, I was actually going somewhere like Mexico or just wherever. So I just really like traveling. I feel like, every time you go somewhere, it's almost like you're starting a new life. Like it's all new experiences, new people, the new cultures, like the difference from like America or like Mexico or, Colombia or Thailand. It's so different. Like the people, the food, the weather, the time zones. It's a really cool feeling. So, that's why I like to travel. And also another thing is the time zone in Asia is for trading is I love it. Like it's amazing. I mean, London Open is like 2 p.m. and then New York is like 9. So it's like I'm a nighttime person. I like to stay
Okay.
up late. I'm not really like a early kind of guy. Probably stay up till like 2, 3 a.m. and then I just wake up whenever I wake up. And I've just always kind of been a nighttime person. So the time zone in Asia for me is just awesome, and I really like Thailand, and yeah, so
Uh,
that's the whole idea with the trading thing. And I think another thing too is people should try to get out and experience more places when they're young. I mean, traveling when you're old and man is just it's not going to be the same as when you're in
You
your
calling me
20s.
out?
So.
yeah, yeah.
No,
Hey,
I'm
hold up here.
33. I'm 33, and I just went overseas the first time like a couple weeks ago. But it was because I didn't really I didn't want to spend the money. Like my goal was always to try and like build that nest egg. So like our house is like
yeah,
almost paid off. Like I got a really
nice.
nice cushion, and now I can travel.
Yeah,
Whereas like maybe some, I mean, again, like I think it's all dependent on what your goals are out of life because
yeah,
some people might not take the same path as me. I think did you see that it actually improved your trading? Like getting out of your comfort zone, in my opinion, is so important. Like right now, I'm so stuck in a comfort zone at my home. Like I'm about to just move down south to save on taxes, not only, but just to put myself in a different environment and meet new friends, just get really uncomfortable, and then just uh and I feel like I'm always trying to push myself now. Like every time I get comfortable, it's just I feel uncomfortable being comfortable.
yeah, yeah, 100%. I think it's definitely like throwing yourself out there and putting yourself in a whole new environment. It's cool. Like you meet new people. Like some of my best friends now I've met being over here, and like before they would have no way of ever meeting someone like that unless I just went out there and then went for it. So yeah, I definitely think, like you said, though, it's going to be dependent on the person. Some people want different things. Maybe they want to stay in a place their entire life, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's whatever you want to do. For me personally, I like the new experiences, meeting new people, traveling all over. So I'll probably do this for a couple more years, and then maybe in a couple of years, I'll kind of pick a place and decide what I want to do. For right now, it's going to be Thailand, but yeah,
Quick follow up.
yeah.
Travel is synonymous to self discovery. What have you discovered about yourself as a traveler that has impacted your trading?
Uh, Damn, that's a
That's
tough
that's
one.
a,
I think.
that's a good question, man. You have to think on that.
I mean, well,
Yeah,
I'll throw in my 2 cents. I have an addictive personality. I love women, and I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie, right? So, trying to tame some of that, the dopamine or endorphin rush as a trader, and then just trying to chase less fat, you know, booty,
Yeah, so
is
shit,
focusing a little bit
have you
more.
done like bungee jumping or skydiving or anything like that? Because like I'm planning on going to Dubai. A bunch of people have already recommended I go skydiving, which is something I never really ever thought about. But they're like,
yeah,
you have to go skydiving over the palm, and I'm like,
yeah.
but I don't want to like back out and just be like, no, I'm not gonna do that.
You definitely should. I've been skydiving like 15 times, and
Oh
it's
wow.
amazing. It's like really really fun. Do you like roller coasters? Have you ever been on a roller
Yeah, yeah,
coaster?
yep.
You know
Wow.
that feeling when you get those like butterflies in your stomach?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's I
But
don't know
it's
if
like
you like it,
nonstop, like for like however long.
yeah, it's actually really not too bad. Like it might look the scariest part is going to be when they open the door and you go to jump out the plane and you're looking down. Because a lot of the time what happens is like you go forward so you actually front flip out of the plane and then you're looking back up at the plane while you're falling and it's a really really cool experience. I
Wait,
definitely
where have you
recommend
gone
doing it.
skydiving then?
I've been in Mexico and Colombia and then Canada and the US.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did it
That's
in the
awesome.
Algarve in Portugal, and mate, it was incredible. It was right over the beach. It's just insane. But yeah, that
Yeah.
roller coaster feeling lasts just a few seconds when you jump off.
Yeah.
But
It's
when
it's a
when the
great.
parachute is open, it's just
Yeah.
amazing, incredible experience.
Yeah, it's really really fun. I plan to go in Dubai too. I heard that's like some of the best places to go in the world because when you're coming down, looking at everything, it's quite beautiful.
Yeah, so I
Okay,
guess yeah,
I
what
could
was
ask
that?
like 100 questions here.
No,
And
no, no. I want to hear Tristan. I guess what was the biggest self discovery thing you learned
yeah,
from
yeah, that's
traveling and
Yeah.
having those
So
experiences?
I think like because I was traveling with my girlfriend prior, but now I'm solo. So I think one of the things that like for me, I'm a little bit of a shy person if I have not met you. So traveling solo has really put me out of my comfort zone to go and just approach people and to meet new people. So I think traveling solo I actually quite like it. You meet a ton of new people, and it really throws you out of your comfort zone. So that's something that I've really enjoyed doing, and doing so, I've met so many new people and new friends, and it's been a great experience.
Nice. Yeah. So what's on your next list of travel? Like, where are you trying to head to next?
Yeah, so right now I'm a little bit traveled out. That's why I'm just kind of staying in Thailand. I've been hopping around for like 13 months now, so Thailand's kind of being it. I go to Dubai on the 25th, but that's for some business stuff. It's not really just going there for fun. I'll be there for 3 weeks, and then I'm probably coming back here to Thailand, and I'll probably stay put for I don't know, 3 to 6 months. The traveling is fun, it's amazing, but it does get old hopping from like I was Airbnb hopping like 30 days, 30 days, 30 days for, like a year. So it's definitely a lot of hopping around, but it's a cool experience because like I'm sure all of you have moved houses before and it's just like a total new life. So every time I pick a new Airbnb and stay for 30 days, it's literally like I'm starting a new life. It's really cool. So
You must have some really cool suitcase packing hacks now.
yeah, yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah, like
How,
as a traveling trader, what are your top? I don't know if you guys seen the videos with like GQ and stuff. Like, what are your top, I guess, 5 items to bring as a traveling trader?
Well, prior I had like two little stands and then I would rock portable monitors. So I would have my laptop and then two portable monitors, but they broke twice and I'm so sick of buying them. So I just said, screw it. And I just have my laptop now. So I keep it very simple. I just have my laptop and then I have a mouse. And then I used to have a keyboard with the portable monitors, but now I don't because they keep breaking. So like I said, it's just the laptop. And then, yeah, I keep it very basic. It was definitely a little weird when I first started because back home I had like the big fancy big screen dual monitors and they were 27 inches. So it's going from that to switching to like a laptop. It's definitely it was a little tough at first, but now I actually quite like the laptop and I feel like I'm more productive when I'm on it. To be honest.
and do you have any sort of go-to supplements when you're traveling in terms of keeping your focus up, in terms of keeping you at high performance?
To be honest, no, I don't really. I drink lots of water and I get out and get lots of sunlight, stuff like that. I try to go to the gym. I have been slacking a little bit lately, I will admit, but I've been very active in the gym prior. And
You gotta join the whoop.
for
You gotta
some,
join the
get a
whoop crew,
whoop, buddy. Become a whooper.
man.
what
Yeah.
is it? What I've
So
seen that
like
on
it
Twitter.
tracks
It's
it
a
track
Fitbit,
you
bro.
can start a community, right? And it's very accurate. It's way more accurate than Apple Watch. It tracks your
Right.
like blood oxygen level, your skin temp, your stress levels, your sleep in depth. Like it'll tell you when you're in a deep sleep, light sleep, everything about it, like how many calories you're burning, and you can start a community. And I don't know if you've probably seen us going at each other.
Yeah,
So
I
it kind
saw.
of just keeps everybody accountable, because like you could see that the other day I went to a bachelor party this weekend, so I needed like, and I'm not a big drinker, so when I drink, it's like I'm done for like a good 3 or 4 days, and my body was hurting. So like they could
Mhm.
see that my daily strain was like it was like a one, you know. So like
Yeah,
Austin Silver's like, Kyle, you got to stop sleeping so much, man. This is really like, it's cool to have people hold you accountable, especially because in my opinion, trading and working out, you kind of have a lot of traders I know, at least some of the top ones, really take their health seriously, because your physical
yeah.
health does affect your mental health.
Yeah,
Great point.
100%. I definitely think like sleep deprivation is one of those things that a lot of traders overlook. Like if you're really tired, you're not going to make proper trading decisions, and that's just it's a fact. Like I don't care what anyone says. You can be like team no sleep stuff like that. Like it's not realistic,
Yeah.
especially if you're trading at a high level with like actual significant amount of money. You definitely need to be properly rested and stuff like that. So maybe I'll look into getting one of those. What is it called? A Whoop,
Whoop.
as you
Yeah,
said.
yeah,
Whoop,
Whoop.
there it is.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No,
go
so like I guess
share.
going back to like your career and stuff, like were you waking up for London every single day, or
No, so it's not realistic to do it every single day. I mean, I was getting up at like London Open in America was I was getting up at like 2 a.m. to try to
yeah,
trade for like 2:33. So, I mean, I would do that for like 3, 4 days, and then usually on the next day I would have a burnout day where I couldn't do it, something like that. So it was not every single day, but I mean, I would say like 70% of London sessions for like a year straight. I was doing that, and yeah, it was hell, man. It was brutal. There was so many times at work when I was like head bobbing, like falling asleep, and
yeah,
it was
yeah.
just
No, I
yeah. But
totally get that, because I was doing the same thing for quite a while, and I think
yeah,
you know, if you guys are really listening to this, like it really comes down to how much you want to sacrifice. Like me and
yeah,
Tristan were waking up for London and going working a 13, 14 hour day, just because we didn't want to work at the job anymore. I don't think a lot of people are just so comfortable that they're not willing to put in the work. So like I always say it, like if you want your time back, you have to sacrifice your time up front.
yeah,
It's like a poker table. Like if you're gonna win the pot, you have to put your time in first before you can get it back. Like there's no way you can just assume that you're gonna get your time freedom and just be lazy about it, right? Like so stop going out when you don't need to go out all the time. It's really hard to do, because like let's say if you're a part, I don't know if you were you a partier at all? Like were you hanging around with a lot of people that like to go out and party and stuff?
yeah, so not too much, but like I'm gonna not say that I would never go out because I think it's important to have like some balance. And I know there's a time and place when you should have balance and when you should be really grinding, and you should know when to do what. Like there's a grind stage, but I also think you should be going out and having some fun sometimes too. I personally find when I go out and have like a really fun weekend that the next week my trading is usually amazing.
Yeah,
So like I like a happy balance. Like if people are just like always like grinding, 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 like it's I don't know. For me,
yeah.
it's you
You
should
could
be
burn
doing
out both ways, right? Like you could burn out
yeah,
partying, right? And you can also burn out working too hard. So
yeah,
it's really you do have to find like a fine balance.
yeah,
But like yeah, at the end of the day, you know, if you're doing some things and you're just not hitting your goals, then you really have to sacrifice some of the things that you're currently doing and
yeah.
replace them with more positive things that are gonna, you know, put you on the right track, and you know, I guess have your growth equity curve kind of trend in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in the beginning when I first started trading, there was a ton of sacrifices. I lost lots of friends. There was very like disconnect from a lot of things, and it was just studying and grinding, not going out. And so I think, like you said, there's a time and place for when you should be like having balance and when you can't afford to have balance and you need to focus. So I think
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we can hop in a Q&A. I don't know how much time you got, but we're kind of, you know, we kind of like to keep these like an hour, hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
no,
there's a
no
couple of
problem.
questions already pinned in here. So I think I want to pull up some of these questions that maybe some of these people are asking you. Uh,
Yeah.
so this person's asking, Oscar's asking, is it easier to manage risk on a prop firm or manage risk on a trade?
I think it's really going to depend on where you're at for your level of trading. For me personally, right now, managing the risk on the prop firm, I actually really enjoy it. I like to do it, so I think it's not hard at all. But that's probably because I've been trading for so long and I've went through all the peaks and the valleys and all the times of when I didn't know how to manage my risk properly, and now I do. So I think it's quite easy. Yes.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you have the drawdown blocker, right? Because a lot of people, even myself to this day, like I still struggle with that at times, you know,
Yeah, I
because
think
I'm
everyone does.
so discretionary. I don't have, I wish Rodrigo was in my room telling me like, yo, you can't take that trade, brother.
Yeah.
And I think everybody wish they had somebody like that right next to them, unless you're like
Mhm.
actually on a physical trading floor, because I know even I think even on a regular prop firm floors, there's still people breaking rules, but the risk management department is going to come over and chew you out for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. People don't really have any rules. Like like you could place a trade and it can just go on losing forever. Like there's no one to tell you to stop. So
Yeah,
having
yeah,
someone to say, "Hey, man, like what the hell are you doing?" is definitely what most people need.
yeah. Reborn's asking, any of you guys play poker? It relates so much to trading. I've reached profitability on poker before trading. That's interesting. I know how to play poker, but I don't actually I'm not actually great at it, I don't think. I actually know that there's people that actually track their equity curves uh over X amount of hands. I don't know how they're doing it. Like, are they tracking every single hand that comes out? I'm not 100% sure how they're doing it, but I know there's people that are actually doing that. Are
Yeah.
you a poker
Uh,
player?
No, I don't even know how to play poker. I'm not really a card game kind of guy. I never really got into it. So I've read some poker books because the mindset is very relatable to trading. So like the Mental Game of Poker by Jared Tendler is a great book. But personally for me playing poker, no, I don't even know how to play.
Interesting. Yeah, so this is a great question by UA. What's the difference in being a trader only than switching to being a prop firm owner? Any mindset shift, or do you change your approach for your trading generally?
I'm definitely a lot less active of trading right now just because it's very demanding running a prop firm. There's a lot of moving parts constantly. It's like there's like always something happening, and it's very competitive right now. So I'm kind of putting a lot more focus into the prop rather than the trading. But for the first month where I was still trading, my trading actually significantly improved. I think it's just less time on the charts, less focus, and like my trading plan, I already know what I'm looking for. It's very straightforward to the point. Once you have a sound solid plan, I mean, following it is quite easy. And I think having distractions outside of the market is good. It's actually helpful. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, so I actually had a question for you because I noticed this over my course of trading, however many years. It's just like
Yeah.
my mindset on risk in general, business risk, life risk, just has changed so drastically. Did you kind of notice that as well? Like you start thinking about your businesses differently because you're a trader?
Yeah. Kind of. I mean, I've always, like I said, made pretty decent money working at my job. So my relationship with risk has always been a little bit more on the aggressive side, I would say. So yeah, I don't know. It kind of depends on everyone's financial situation of how you're gonna manage the risk, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think you just have to get comfortable with risk, honestly.
Mhm.
I don't know, was your job a little dangerous at all? Like, was the job site
Yeah, it was
dangerous?
very dangerous. I
Yeah, so
mean,
you're
we're
taking a risk
working.
every single day just going into work, right?
Yeah, and a lot of the time trading from my phone, I mean, I was, like I said, a welder and a fabricator, but I did a lot of iron working as well. So we're working, sometimes 50, 60 feet in the air, flying in pieces of equipment with a crane. Some of them are like 20, 30, 40,000 pounds. And I'm on my phone, like managing my trade when there's like
That's actually
things
crazy,
flying,
man. That's awesome.
things flying over my head. And like, running on like 3 hours sleep. So yeah, it was very dangerous. It's brutal.
Listen, man, you gotta do what you gotta do. That's actually an amazing
Yeah.
story. We gotta make a
Yeah.
documentary about you.
I got a
Yeah.
question. There's a question here. I've got a question for you before you answer this one, in regards to stats of your best traders at the firm. Do you have any interesting stats to share in regards
Yeah.
to the way the traders are managing trades, what pairs they're trading, how long they're holding trades for.
And I would also ask, like, what are the stats of the worst traders? I was actually thinking about the same question. Like, what's
Okay.
separating the best and the worst?
Yeah, so it seems it's a little hard because some people who are killing it are taking like 10 trades a day and then some are taking like 2. But as a whole, I would say that the winning traders, for one, is their risk management is sound. They're not risking ridiculous amounts per trade. It's very steady, you know, it's like 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%. It's a stable risk. And like I'm thinking it's fixed risk. They're risking the same per trade rather than some guys they'll do, you know, 1%, 1%, 1%. 4%, and that 4% loss, you just destroyed yourself on all your previous wins. So
Yeah.
having a sound risk is definitely the biggest thing. And I think focusing on less pairs, like the guys that we see really killing it are like specialists in like 1 or 2 pairs or something like that, rather than trying to focus on, I mean, there's obviously some exceptions of some guys that are different, but there's, for the most part, the guys that are trading like 20, 30 pairs are not profitable. And that's definitely not where you want to be. So
that's
yeah,
interesting because for me, I would say it took me a good, this is kind of embarrassing, but it took me like at least 4 years to actually stick to my risk strategy. Like, if I'm going to risk
Yeah.
X amount of lots, like, it's such a mental battle to consistently do that over a stretch of time. Like,
Yeah.
and whatever that stretch of time is for you, it could be different for me. Like, I would have 2 months that was like perfect. I was sticking to my risk, you know. And when I was trading my personal account, it was just like a standard lot, you know, one standard lot, one standard lot, one standard lot, one standard lot. And then all of a sudden, now I'm doing like 5 standard lots and I'm just destroying that whole month's worth of progress, you know. And I'm sure you probably see the same thing. It's just like, you know, I think I talked about it on another podcast. Like, it doesn't matter how much wealth you have, it doesn't matter how many accounts you have. You could have one really bad day where you just destroy everything, you know. And I think there's that guy Masayoshi Son or something. I think he was in a different beat. I think he was in like a media business or something. And then COVID happened, and he became like an options trader, and he lost like $7 billion, like the majority of his net worth, in like 3 months.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter how big you get in the game, you always have to be mindful of your risk because you can destroy all of your wealth very quickly.
Yeah. That's the thing with trading. You can lose, like you said, everything so fast. Like you could lose years of hard work in like 1 week of bad decision making, going
Yeah.
on tilt, things like that. We see it. I can literally see because I do a lot of on the risk standpoint. I go over a lot of the funded accounts and look to manage the books and stuff like that. So when I'm going over the data of some of the traders that lose, I can literally see the emotions in the trading. Like it'll be like a loss, and then huge loss, like blow the whole account. Like you can just tell that they mentally checked out at some point and they just said like fuck it and risk their whole account. And like you can
I'm almost at that threshold on my phase 2 at your firm. I'm like,
yeah.
I've been trading it for like a month and a half. I think I'm down 4%. I was down.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta update my YouTube series, but I was down 9%. I just had a really
Yeah.
bad week. I don't know. I think it might have been the travel. I just like completely destroyed this phase 2. I'm like 1% about to hit my max drawdown limit, and now I'm back to 4%. It's taking me like 4 weeks to get back that 5%, but I just went to a 1/4% risk and just slowly built it up. Now I'm at like a okay, comfortable position. Maybe I'll get back to 2% before I start risking a 1% again. I'm not really in a huge rush to pass. I just want to pass and not be one of the statistics where I'm like losing so much money within a month. So, like, I want to ask if this is like not confidential information, what is the most amount of money somebody's spent on challenges in a month without passing? Because Angelo from TFT told us some guy spent 38,000 without passing any phase 1s.
Damn, that's a lot. So we're not quite as big as them yet, but so I can say I think the biggest one we've had was 36 accounts without passing. I'm not quite sure the exact amount it was, but I know it was 36 accounts they had purchased, and they still have not got a funded account. And of course, I can't say any names or anything like that, but we see it.
Yeah, it was.
I admit it.
Great.
Yeah, we see it a lot. I mean, it's crazy how how many people get funded and they blow their account in like 2 or 3 days. I think people are so excited that they finally got that funded account. They're gonna go make some money and get that Lambo, and then they just boom, blow the account. Like it's crazy. So I think people really need to be patient. Like when you get that funded account, you should really lower your risk and try to keep it.
Yeah. So I know. So I guess leading into this question, I mean, there's a lot of questions in the chat, but I do have a question that might be important for maybe the industry going forward. So
Yeah,
for FTMO, they offered, psychological like mental sessions if you're a funded
yeah,
trader. I don't know if they
yeah.
still do. I haven't even looked at it honestly. Um, is that something that you guys would maybe think about doing, like actually providing support to some of your top funded traders?
Yeah, so we have it with the scaling plan already. Like if you reach the scaling plan, what we'll do is we'll book a call with Jared Tendler with you. And then
Oh
we had
wow.
a couple yeah, we had a couple promos as well where we were it was like a giveaway type thing, and whoever won there was two traders that won, and we put them in he had a boot camp. It was like a 6 week thing where you have calls with him every single week and just work on, what you're struggling with and how to fix it. So he's a really busy guy, so we can't get too much of his time, but it's definitely in the future we would like to have it more accessible for people that don't necessarily need to hit the scaling plan in order to get this. It'd be nice to have it for people that maybe get like one payout or two payouts, or even people that are just struggling and they want to speak to someone about it. Of course, I don't think we would be able to do that with Jared just because his time is
Mhm.
it's hard to get him, but it's definitely something in the future that would be cool to have.
Awesome. So yours asking, what are the stats for phase one, phase two, and first payout at your firm?
Like the pass rates?
Yeah, I think yeah, probably pass rates. Like how, because I think MFF had mentioned it's like 30% or 20% pass phase one, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so we track it a little bit different. Like we don't really look at how many people pass phase two. It's more what I care about the most is from purchase to funded. What's the pass rate? So because we have quite a few different challenges, I'll give you an average number of all of them. And right now our current pass rate is 11.6%. So 11.6% of people who buy an account are getting to the funded stage. And out of those people that get a payout, it's only 3% of people who purchase account get a payout right now. So if you're one of those people that are getting a payout, you should pat yourself on the back because you're killing it, because it's a lot harder than people think.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
I I was trading for I think 7 or 8 years before I even touched a funded account, and I
Yeah.
think right now everybody's coming into space. They're probably honestly, they might be seeing the prop firm before they even know about trading in
Yeah.
general, right? Because like
Yeah.
people are posting payouts, like it's all over social media. People are, there's a lot of big YouTubers saying like, yeah, I've gotten this payout, et cetera, et cetera. Uh, you have to get the skill set first, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And if you're blowing a lot of challenges, just you got to take a step back and just analyze what you're doing wrong, because if you're constantly failing challenges, and in my opinion, on a no limit time firm, there shouldn't be any reason to fail, right?
Yeah.
Because the biggest thing again is the capital protection, right? How do you protect the capital long enough to hit those winning streak? Honestly, flipping a coin, if you have the right risk management, you're going to pass it at some point.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you. It's
Yeah, so I guess other than that, we don't really have too many other questions in here. Rod, Kit, do you guys have anything else for Tristan before we sign off?
Just it's really nice to meet you, bro. Really
yeah.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, man. Yeah.
Yeah, likewise here, man. First time I see your
Are you
face.
guys all in New York, or is it just Kyle and Kit?
Kit's
I'm in
actually
Ohio for
yeah.
what it's
Oh,
worth.
I'm in
okay.
the UK.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, so if
Yeah,
you're ever in the UK, hit me up and
yeah, for
we'll
sure.
hang out.
I've actually never been, but yeah, definitely should pop by.
Yeah, I guess when you're feeling up for traveling again.
Yeah, right now I'm quite enjoying just staying put. It can be quite draining.
Okay, so Holistic has one last question, I guess, before we sign off. Can you explain
Yeah.
A booking and B booking?
Yeah, so we get this question a lot, and there's a couple ways to explain it, but I'll just explain it as simple as possible for everyone, just so that it's very easy to understand. And basically, A booking means that us as a prop firm are actually taking the trades, we're copying the trades, they're going to the market, that it's actually happening. B booking would be nothing is happening. So when you place a trade, it's nothing's happening, and we're just paying you out from revenue or from capital that we have in a vault. So that's the simplest way to explain it. There's many different reasons of why we would A book someone or B book them. But another thing that most people don't understand is that when you're A booked or B booked, there is zero difference in your trading conditions. So if I give you an account and you're trading on it, the difference if you're A booked is you will not be able to tell the difference. It's the exact same account. So yeah, that's another that confuses a lot of people. We get a lot of questions and they say, is this a book or B book firm? And every firm is a mix of both
Yeah.
A booking and B booking. It's a healthy equilibrium of the two.
I think a lot of people are overthinking the wrong things.
Yeah.
You know, they're definitely thinking. I mean, in my opinion, when I've come across traders, they're definitely, in my opinion, they're just thinking about the wrong things. Like when I was coming up, it was always psychology, 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 psychology. And you don't realize that until you're so focused on the technicals and you're not making any progress that you do
Yeah.
realize like it is all up here because there's a bunch of traders out there. It doesn't matter if you're trading ICT, it doesn't matter if you're trading moving averages, support resistance, supply and demand. We're all trading the same price, aren't we? Like
Yeah.
that price is not different. If I'm an ICT trader, I'm not getting a different price on my feed. Like I'm getting filled at the same price that you are. You know, it's just
Yeah.
how do you manage your emotions, essentially. So
Yeah.
yeah, other than that, you know, Tristian, it was a pleasure meeting you, man. This was a great session. I hope to have you back on. You know, wishing you guys all the best at Fun and Engineer. Hopefully, we can meet up in the future. Maybe do a little skydiving. And yeah, I'm excited to see if you know you guys can keep pushing the envelope for the industry because I think in general it's great for a lot of the traders that have the skill set. You know, you guys are really offering something that's a little bit different with the max increasing drawdown, the concierge service, all of that. You know, the Moet bottles. I'm hoping to get mine soon. But
Gang, gang,
Yeah,
gang,
man.
gang.
Thanks again for having me on. It was a really good session. I enjoyed talking with you guys too, and I hope you guys all the best as well. And I hope I'll be sending you a Moet bottle soon as well, Kyle. And yeah,
all right, man. Take it easy. Hope you guys all have a great weekend.
Have a
yeah.
good one,
Take
Tristian.
care, man. Thanks again.
Thanks,
Nice to meet you.
Take care, everyone.
See ya.